Hello guys, welcome to the Code to Coffee. And today we are going to learn the Postgres. Okay, so in this video, what we are going to learn, what is Postgres? We'll understand the definition and why we do use the Postgres. Then we'll install the Postgres on the local on the Docker. Okay. Then third, we'll build an Express-based application to understand the schema using the Prisma and the relations and thread operation. Right. So first thing, what is Postgres? So PostgreSQL is an advanced SQL database used to store, manage, and process structure and the semi-structure efficiently. So mostly like MongoDB, it is the non-structured database. So we can store anything JSON into the MongoDB. Similarly, but other than the SQL or MySQL or the Oracle, where we need to store the data in a structured way. But Postgres provide the flexibility in storing or processing the structure and the semi-structured data efficiently. Okay, the key feature of the Postgres are fully ACID compliant, MVCC, multi-version concurrency control, meaning multiple server or request can be processed. Okay, and each request could have the response based on the version they are requesting, and it has the powerful query optimizer. Whatever we are sending a request to the Postgres, first it optimize the query, then respond. It does support JSON and the JSONB support. So for the semi-structured data, this is JSON and JSONB is a very useful. Advanced indexing that will help us in querying the data. Excellent scalability and performance. So normally we cannot start the SQL database, right? Like Oracle and MySQL, we cannot start. But in case of the Postgres, we can start, and that's why it provides the scalability. Okay, you need the complex query because the query optimizer will optimize that query. And when we need the strong data integrity, so when we need the ACID compliant, right? In that case, we should use the PostgreSQL. Transaction and join. So PostgreSQL does provide the transaction and the join between the two tables. So in that case also, we can use the PostgreSQL. When we have the structure and the non-structure or the semi-structure, both, in that case, we can use the PostgreSQL. Okay. Now, in our Dockerize Postgres installation. So first we'll install the Postgres on our local. Okay. For that thing, what we can do, we'll go to the VS Code. Okay. What we'll do, we'll create a Docker Compose file and we'll run that Docker Compose. Okay. Let's create that. So for that thing, we can create the Docker Compose YAML. Here we'll give the so what we are saying, okay, we need the PostgreSQL and we'll name the container name as a PostgresDB and restart like whatever the configuration we can give and we can run this one. So let's run. You can simply type Docker Compose up, right? So let's see, it started pulling the Postgres. Let's go to the Docker desktop. So our container should be running here. Yeah, so our Node.js tutorial and we do have a Postgres running. Let's verify with the pgadmin. Here we'll create one connection. We can create. Okay, we can give the name as a Postgres Qt, and in the connection we should give the name as a just a second. Okay, we can give the local host, and port is 5432. Our database is the app, I think. Let's verify what's our app. PostgreDB's app. So that's why you're giving the app. Username is the Postgres. Password is also Postgres, right? Here you can see the Postgres. Let's connect this. It got connected. You can open the query. So here we have an app. Let's create the query tool, and what we'll do, we'll create a table. We can go to the schema, and schema we can find the table. Let's see here. So we'll create our own table just for demo purpose. You can say the name of the table is users and save it. Okay, we also need the column, so we can give, let's say, ID will be type of integer and name, which will be type of varchar, so it will be a character varying. Save it. It's saying users is already this. What you can give, you can just sample it. You can say sample table. Okay. So similarly, I already created the user. Similarly, currently created this sample table. So what you can do? First, we'll insert some value. Let me see if I have inserted anything. You can just copy paste from there. Yeah, this command we can give. Currently, if you see whether we have, we don't have. So just see whether we have any data or not. So we have two data earlier. We can insert few more data. Okay. And for now, instead of saying ID equal to 1, we can just simply do run it. Let's run it. Now, if we will try to query again the user table, you can see. So this is confirming that okay, our TV is up and running on our Docker. Okay. Now we need to create a what's the next step? Next step was just a second. Okay, now we'll build an Express-based application to understand these things. Okay, so what we'll do? So we'll do one thing. We'll create our Node.js. We spin up a Node.js server using the Express framework, and inside the Node.js, we'll use the Prisma. Prisma is nothing but a ORM that will help us to interact with the Postgres DB. So if you try to understand what is a Prisma, you can find the everything you can find here about the Prisma. So, but what exactly work with when existing? Okay, what is ORM Prisma? Prisma is a next generation open source ORM for the Node.js or the TypeScript simplified database workflow. Meaning, whenever we need to interact with the Postgres, we can use the Prisma. Okay? Yeah. So let's start coding the Node.js using the Express. Let's go to the Visual Studio. This is already up and running. We can what we can do? We can create a structure like something. Let's create a index.js. So these are the instructions we are going to follow. In the SRC folder, we'll have our source code, and once we'll run this Prisma, when we initiate the Prisma, these things will be auto-generated. Okay. So first of all, what we'll do, we'll just try to install some mandatory packages. Okay. Let's run it here. What we are installing here, Express for the Express framework, Prisma for connecting with the database, and the client whenever we need the CRUD operation. In that case, we need the client, and the .env. So whenever we need some environment variable to use in our code, in that case we can use this .env from the environment to our code. So let's install this. Okay. I'm also installing the node one for the running of the server. Okay, so it got installed. Let's verify. So in our package.json, it should have something. Why this government document like this? Okay. Now, so now let's close this. We needed one more character at src in which we will write the our source code. First, what we'll do, we'll do the npx prisma init. So let me run npx prisma init. Now, once it got executed, this should be created. So Prisma, you can see here this got created. Here we need to give our schema design. And also if you observe here also, Prisma config is got generated, right? So if you want to give, you can give from here as well. So what was our connection string? Our connection string was something like from here, and just simply give like this. So instead of taking from the environment, we can take it from directly hardcode. But in the production, we need to use the environment. We need to take it from the environment. So earlier was also good. Okay. So let's use this one. And while the Prisma design, what we are going to do, we are going to create a one user table, what the schema for the user, and the post. Why we are creating the post? To understand the relation between the user and the post. Okay, so let's create this user schema. So here you can see in the user schema, we should have ID, name, email, and the post. Post we will create now, and this is nothing but the auto increment. That's mean we do not need to give the ID. It will be auto created, auto generated. Okay, then save it, and we also need a post. So here, if you try to understand the user is nothing but this user. So there is a relationship between the user and the post. So whatever the post is for particular user, that should come here. So whenever we'll create the post, we also give the user ID. In that, when we give the user ID, our user will always have that post. Okay, so that is the way we can create this post schema. Okay, let's go here and first we'll delete these tables. So what you can say, we can just simply drop cascade, and you can also delete. So we don't have any table in our app database. So what we'll do now, what we need to do, we need to migrate whatever the schema we have provided. So you can just simply migrate using the npx prisma migrate dev. So it should get migrated. Let's see if we got any error. I've already got in my file, so it's not. There's no update uses. Let's see if we have anything there. Refresh it. Okay, we don't have something to. Yeah, so our migration is generated. Here you can see. If we'll go there and we'll try, should have the two table. One is the post table, and another is the user table. Okay, if you see the columns, so ID, name, email. Okay. In the post, if you see ID, title, user ID, and here are some. If you see the constraint user key means this ID will be considered as a primary key. Okay. So we what we did. So as if now we created the schema using the Prisma, and also we created the relation. Okay. Now we'll create the CRUD operation with the help of Express framework. So let's go to here. We do not need this. We do not need this. We do not need this. In the src folder, we can start creating our code. So first we'll create a prisma.js where we can give the configuration to connect with the our database. Right? We can just simply right then we create our server. So we can say server.js server.js. Okay. In our server, what we'll do? So in our server, basically we'll create one application, one express instance, and we'll just run on 8080. We can just simply say 8080, and if it is running, we should get this kind of this. Let's do one thing instead of hard coding. What we can create .env file. .env file. Here we can give all the environment variable. So the database URL and the port. Now this port will be taken from the environment. So we'll just load the .env. So whatever the environment variable will be available in our code base. Here we use the two route, one for the user, another is for the post. Right? These are the route. So what you can do, you can create the router for those things. Okay, so now we'll create this user route and post route one by one. Okay, let's create these routes. Then create file like this. Routes, all the user routes will be there. Okay, similarly, we can create the post routes. Routes like this. Okay. Now, because in the routes we are using the controller, right? Post controller for this CRUD operation, right? So what we can do, we can create the controllers as well, right? Let's create the controllers. Here we'll get the user controllers, all the controllers, meaning how we are going to handle the request, right? Like this. We'll try to understand these things, and we can also create the controllers for the post like this. Okay. So what we are doing here, so as if now what we did is whenever we'll get any request on the API user, that will go to the user route. When it go to the user route, so we go to the user route based on our method, whether the post get or put or delete and this path, our controller will be get executed. For example, if you're saying okay API slash users with a post request, that's mean it will create a user. And what is the how our code will handle for the create user. So here if you see create user, what we are doing here is we are taking the Prisma, okay, and the user. The Prisma client is there. So this Prisma.js is nothing but this, right? This will give the this client Prisma client, right? That means this Prisma client will have this method like user, our model or the schema. You can just use this SDK create, and whatever you are getting in the request body, you'll just putting into the data. Okay. Similarly, for the get user, you can use the find many with the post whether we want to post or not. Remember, we designed the schema that okay users should have the post, so we can simply say whether we want this post or not by this flag post equal to true or false. Okay. Similarly, when we need the post by user by ID, we can just simply give the find unique. Here it was many, so no any filter. But when we are saying find the unique, in the where clause we can give ID. The value of ID is nothing but we'll get from the params of our request, and you can just whatever we'll get, we'll just return it in a JSON. And the update user, similarly, then just use the update in the where class for this ID. We'll update, and whatever the request we are sending from our client, that will be updated. Right? Similarly, delete is simply the user dot delete with the where clause, right? The user got deleted. Now the post. So here in our um, server.js, we had another path for the post. Okay, so whenever we'll get a request on this path, it will go to this post route. Okay, in the post route, again we have this controller which will be responsible for the code operation for the post, right? Whether the create post, get post by ID, or update post, or the delete post. Here, if you see the controller, we have all this. So this code will provide in description. You don't need to understand. The only purpose here is how we are going to interact, how our code will interact with the Postgres SQL. That was the demo. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, let me see if any migration is still we need. Find make yourself visible here. What is this database? Okay, guys. So let's run our application. Okay, we'll run with the npm run dev. We'll use the Postman for the testing. Okay. So let's create one user. We'll say the user one with the user one at mail.com. Right. So we are able to create. Okay. Let's query with the ID2. So what we'll do, we'll give the ID2, and this we don't want to give anything because it's a get request. Yeah, we can get it. Can we delete it? So let's delete it. And the user got deleted. When again we'll try to see whether we have that user. So no, we don't have the user. Now let's create one more, like user one, then the user two. Okay, two got inserted. So if we try to see all our users, Here we have a two user. What we'll do, we'll create one post, API post. Okay, let's create a post. And what we need to give in the post, so we do have a title, user ID, right? Title and user ID, that's all. So here you can give the JSON title, you can say user1 post ID. And what were our, okay, let's create for the user one, and the ID is 3, right? So let's create user ID equal to 3. Yes, thank you. User one post is created. So if now we'll try to see this, now you can see the post is also coming. So if I'll try to give create one more post for the same user, and if we try to see for that user, now we are getting the two users, right? Let's say if we're saying, we are saying that okay, whenever we are querying the user, we're saying no, we don't want the post, right? Let's save it. If we try to see, we are not getting the post because we said okay, we don't want the post. But if we are saying true, we can get it the post as, right? So we tested the post and create, get, and delete. Now let's delete one post. Now instead of deleting the post, what we can do for now, we'll go to our database. Okay, here whether we have this data or not. So in our database also we have this. Like let's do query for the post. A post. We have a two post, right? So now what we'll do, we'll try to do one thing called this particular user ID, which is 3. We will try to delete this. Okay, let's delete the 3, right? We try to delete, so user got deleted, and user got deleted, and all the posts were in that user because we are saying here, right? That should be cascade delete. So if one user is got deleted, all the post which is for that user, so that those posts also need to be deleted, right? Let's verify this. Let's verify this. Okay, how we can verify? You can go here. I will try to see. Earlier we had two posts, right? Do we have any post? No, all posts got deleted. But we did not delete the post. We deleted the one user, right? So it got deleted because it has the cascade deleting. We have enabled that cascade delete on the relation. So this is the use of the relation. Let's do one more thing. We'll create again one user. Let's say 2, now 3. Now user ID is 5. We'll create the post for this user. I will say user 3 and post 1, user 1, then one more post 2, like this. Now if you go there, then we'll try to see. Yeah, we have a 2 post for this user. Again, let's verify whether we have a table. Yeah, we have user 3 post, and all the user what we have is only 2, right? One is user 2, another is the user 3, right? But if you see here, post is not there, right? Post is only in the post table, right? So that's how it is happening, because there is a relationship between the user and the post. We are not storing the data into the user table. We are storing post into the post table. But while fetching, we can fetch. This is the use. This is the relation benefit of using the PostgreSQL database. Okay, so that's all, guys.